are you? Live here from Boston Skid Row. It's John F. Gately. You can call me Jack. And it's right over here. This is as close as I could get to be safe enough, seeing how I'm all by myself here. Just got the tripod set up on the hood of the car. And what's happened on Monday was that the city announced that you'd have to move your tent from Atkinson Street, which is kind of like the ground zero of Methadone Mile, or what some people call Mass and Cass, Skid Row, same thing. And what they did was try to clear out Atkinson Street, which is just about a half a block from where I am right now. And the problem with that is that they actually didn't have the will to do it, because they said if people refuse to leave, well, then they refuse. So why do we have this massive drug addicts like mecca here in Boston? I'm right here at the corner of Massachusetts and Cass, and also Southampton Street. I don't know if you can tell, but over here this building is all closed up. Almost all the sidewalks over here and over on Topeka Street, which is behind me, are all fenced off. The gas station on Southampton Street, which is right off the highway, closed. The gas station's all fenced off. Basically everything around me is fenced off because they think that's going to stop the problem. So the reason why we have these things, with this problem here at Mass and Cass, is one, the supply. We have an open border with Mexico, which is where most of this stuff comes up from, and the Biden administration and a lot of Republicans want to keep it open, right? They like the Republicans, big business. They like the supply of cheap labor, and Democrats want the votes. I saw the Babylon Bee say the other day that Biden is sending 1,500 National Guardsmen to the border to help register new voters, and Babylon Bee nails it again. So the number one reason why we have this problem, killing 100,000 people a year, fentanyl drug overdoses, is, and that's in the United States alone, is because we have an open border with Mexico. We need to close the border. Specifically to this location, the reason why we have this mecca of drug addicts and homelessness on Atkinson Street and at Mass and Cass, Methadone Mile, is because on Atkinson Street is this thing called the Engagement Center. And the Engagement Center is really a enabling center. This is where, you may have seen it on the news, they give out crack pipes, they give out cookers, they give out needles. They actually encourage people to get high, Right, this is right over here. I can see it from here. It's kind of, it's right over there, trust me. At that place, at the Engagement Center. Now, at the Engagement Center, you have the city, the government, literally enabling people to get high. And then when it comes to homelessness, we have two major points we want to make about this relative to homelessness here, is that one, Boston is a city of no when it comes to building new housing. Everything around here is very, very short. There's maybe a couple of buildings that might be 4 stories tall, but everything's short. Because Boston, even though they cry about housing, they don't want to build upwards, especially when it comes to building around transit authorities. JFK Station's not too far from here. They built all sorts of short buildings there rather than going tall. They won't build density through height. And in a micro sense, also, in order to get housing, if you can get it as a homeless drug addict, you don't need to be clean. So there's no incentive to actually be clean to get housed, and therefore, why be clean? So big questions relative to the building of housing. That's what makes things much more expensive here in the city. And then a micro sense, more enabling. If you don't insist people get clean, you're just giving addicts housing to live in to be addicts, right? You're not changing their behavior or assisting the change in any way, shape, or form. And then getting back to the top of the stream, as I mentioned, the city has no will to actually close this down. I just drove by Atkinson Street. It's it's too dangerous to do the live shot from a half a block away. That's why I did it here. And Atkinson Street is still filled with tents. Still filled with tents because the city has no will to actually crack down and say you can't live on the sidewalk. You can't take over a neighborhood. This whole area here, and this closed gas station is a kind of an example of that, is tremendously distressed. It didn't used to be like this. This is kind of like an industrial part of town. City Hall, Boston City Hospital right over here, fire station headquarters right over here, industrial freight trucking part of town. But it didn't always be like this. It's only like this because the city tolerates it. The far left, Mayor Wu, Mayor Walsh, they tolerate this. This is their making. This is their making. This has always been a kind of a sketchy part of town. We might see a couple of like squeegee guys at the intersection, but never like this. I'll go to anywhere in Boston or almost anywhere in Massachusetts to make a video, but literally as I'm making this video, I'm keeping an eye on my back because this is a dangerous place to be, and especially if you're making a video and highlighting actually being here and saying this is happening. This is not the most safest thing to be, especially I'm just here all by myself today. But did they clean out Atkinson Street? Did they clean up Mass and Cass? No, still filled with tents because they don't have the will to do what it takes, which again is to clean out the street, require addicts to get clean before they can get housing, close the border, and stop giving out crack pipes, cookers, and needles. All right, hey, talk to you later. Bye-bye.